So I just got this in the mail. Anyway. Hello fellow hunters of the blue, and welcome to my channel, and also welcome to, well, the first conversion video, and also the first time that GW has sent me a product for review pre-release. I'm really excited to share it with you, because this is the Nachmund Kill Team box set and it includes the best minis in the world, Eldar. So I decided to get the amazing new Autarch and complement it with some bits from the Corsairs to make one of my favorite Warhammer 40k characters of all time, Yriel. So let's get cracking. Why don't we first start with the tools that I will be using for this conversion. First of all, you obviously need the basic plastic model building tools, some plastic glue. I have the extra thin from Tamiya and a normal Tamiya plastic glue, some super glue, some 0.5mm brass wire, some plastic side cutters, and one cutter. And I will also be pinning, so I'm going to use my hand vise with a 0.6mm drill. As for the models we will be using, most of the basic construction will be the new Autarch model that you can see here. This was kindly donated by Thomas Ostergaard, a very lovely Patreon, who sent me this free of charge because if you see, it came twisted, and GW sent him a new one free of charge. Say what you want about Games Workshop, but to be fair with them, their customer service is the best in the business. And on top of that, I'm going to be using the new Corsair kit. This is a massive kit with tons of options, but I will be using just two bits. I'm going to be using bit number 119, which is a left arm with a shield, and also bit number 121, which is the hand that attaches to said arm. Just so we have a left arm with a shield and a hand pointing like the original model. The rest of the kit I will use to build my Corsairs. I'm very excited about building them and painting one for the channel. Stay tuned. So why don't you let me start building this, and I will be building him up to the point where he has no arms and no head, and I will be obviously using the pole backpack instead of the spider jumpy one. So let's get cracking. I will also be clipping away the parts that I will be converting, so that is the spear hand, the attachment for the hand with the shield, which I won't be using the shield because I'm going to use it on the other hand, plus the head, which I will also be converting. Why don't you let me clean up and build this Autarch up to the first point where I'm changing stuff, and I will catch you in a bit. So we have our Autarch built up to this point. So I attach the spear arm, not the cover for the forearm. I glued him to his base and haven't attached the cape because I want to do a sub-assembly so it's easier to paint. But the shoulder pad, everything else is glued. And now we have to make a left arm. We have to modify the head because, well, that top knot is too much. I'm going to cut this section off and glue the hair down just to make it a bit less ostentatious. And I also going to modify the backpack to add two banners as it should. But the first step will be to do his left arm, and for this we have these two pieces, as I've told you, from the Corsair kit, and I will be gluing them to the model. As always, using my trusty Tamiya ultra thin glue. I think mixing craft wool and Corsair bits for him is quite appropriate. And to glue the arm to the body, I'm going to use normal plastic glue just because it's a bit thicker and makes it easier to apply and not dry immediately. There you go. I'm going to maybe twist it a little bit down so the shield will be seen from a photo perspective. I think that is important in this case, so we know there is a shield there. So I just rotate it a little bit so it will be seen in the picture. And now I'm going to glue the cover for his other arm on, and I will just snip off this shield, just with my side cutters, and I will be trimming it with my X-Acto knife. And I think it's time to do his head. And for this, as I said, I'm going to cut all of this business here, which I don't like, and just going to snip it off with my side cutters. These red grass side cutters are fantastic, by the way. As you can see, I want a little bit of that decorative bit attached to his top knot, and I will do the same with the head. I will leave just the base of that decoration on. After that, I'm going to clean and make this flush, and I'm going to pin this, and for this I'm going to drill it. I like to take my drill and measure how much I'm in. That is more than enough, so that side is done. And again, that is more than enough, and this side is done. So to cut the brass wire, instead of using my nice side cutters, I'm going to use some cheap ones. And now it's time to glue it, and for this I'm going to use super glue, of course. For this type of things, I like to press a little bit, got that blob of super glue there, and just put the tip of my wire in. I'm going to trim it until I'm more or less sure how much I need, so about there. And I'm going to do the same here. And I think that is quite successful, if you ask me. So I think it's time to glue the head onto the torso. Well, I just realized that we cannot do that because the hair interferes with the shoulder pad on that side. So I'm going to turn the hair 180 degrees to face the other way. Well, that's why you should always test fit first and not just wing it like I did. And I think I'm going to put him looking towards this side, because that way I have two secure points. I will be gluing his head down and the hair to the shoulder pad, creating two secure points, so that is practically impossible for that hair to fall off. So I'm going to use thick super glue to fix the head in first, and I will use thin super glue to glue the hair onto the shoulder pad here. There you go. A little press down so everything sticks, and I think we have quite a cool pose. That is pretty cool. I really like that. So very happy with that, and I will leave this to fully dry so I can clean mold lines like this ones, for example here. And now it's time to modify his backpack so it has two banners, because of course Yriel has two banners. We have this one with one banner, and I was lucky enough that Thomas sent me the second one from his new kit that he's not going to use. But if you are not as lucky as I am, the Corsair kit comes to the rescue, because part 122 is a banner, and it's pretty identical to the new one. The only thing you have to do is cut this bit here and this triangle bit there, and you will have a banner that is perfectly suited to add onto Yriel's back. And the first step will be, of course, to cut this one from his base. And I'm just going to use my side cutters because these side cutters are pretty fantastic and they don't leave any mark onto the thin parts. And after that, I will of course clean that up very well. I think you can see these two little gem-like things. I'm going to put my banners just on line with those because it's very easy for me to make them symmetrical. So just in the middle of this part here, align with that gem, I'm going to make a hole. The two banners will be glued together, just like in the old model. And be very careful so you align this to be in the same distance from the edge of the backpack. Otherwise they will look a bit crooked. You don't want too much glue here, so you have some spillage, some overflowing glue. I just like to remove it with a paper towel before we proceed further. And once both are glued down, I will align them so they are more or less in the same direction and cut them to about a couple millimeters or so, more or less like that. Again, making sure before you start drilling that the drill is in exactly the same direction and more or less in the center of the banner pole. Otherwise you run the risk of destroying this banner pole because the thickness is not too much. Also don't be tempted to just drill it entirely. They want to go parallel, but we can force them into this direction. And I'm going to do that as an homage to the old model because that's how the banners were. Let me just test this on his back. The cape is not done, but I think that looks pretty good. I like that. So just to be extra sure that these banners are not going anywhere, I'm going to take some extra thin glue and I'm going to drop it into the middle so they will stick to each other, creating a very, very secure bond. Just pressing a little bit. And that should be more than enough. And I will hold it like this until they are more or less glued, just to be safe that they don't move. And with that done, we can glue the last two bits, and that is the cape and the banners. I'm going to leave the cape separate so I can paint him much easier. So that is very simple. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue onto this bit here and just press it down and leave it to fully dry. So with all that done, the only thing left to do is sculpt his eye. And I have some GreenStuff here and I'm going to put it and place it onto his eye and the side of his head. And I'm going to use my rubber tool to press it against his face, just so I'm not introducing any water in between the GreenStuff and the model. Because if you do that, you will for sure cause some issues with the GreenStuff sticking onto the surface, and that's just a pain in the ass. After that, I can move onto my metal tools to move the putty faster, and I just have some artwork and some pictures of the old model to serve me as reference here. It's always better to place a little bit more than you think you need and then take it away. Makes for a cleaner result, at least for me. Sadly, there is little I can tell you about this process. It's just a matter of going around and just poking the GreenStuff until it has the shape that you like, basically. Once you are more or less happy with the general shape, I'm just going to sculpt the lens itself. For this, I'm going to use this super sharp and very thin tool. This is custom made, so you can just grind one of these tools down, is what I did basically. And that is the eye done. I spent about 15-20 minutes off camera just refining, just doing the same thing you saw me do on camera, just again and again and again. Just refining the shape a little bit here and there, just so it makes for the smoothest possible sculpt. This is a very tiny detail, but I think it really makes a difference. But that isn't the only part of the sculpt that I want to refine, because I'm not really happy with this part right here. I think it looks a bit messy. So I'm going to take a little piece of GreenStuff, as you can see here, and using this rubber shaper, I'm just going to press it all around. This shaper is basically going to be all the tool that I'm going to use here. Just going around, pressing in the middle of that shape, so it creates like a kind of a convex shape that is a very elder kind of look. And after you are done with all of that, you can take your sharp metal tool and just run it all around the edge very carefully, just to make everything tidy and uniform. And with all that done, our Prince Yriel is finished, and he looks quite amazing. I'm so happy with this conversion, with this kit bash, with a little bit of sculpting. And to be fair, you can probably skip the eye if you are not too picky about those kind of things. But I think it adds a lot of personality myself. So I really hope you liked my first kit bash conversion video, and don't miss the painting video featuring Yriel, because it's coming. So I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!